Informative speech time. Wanted to talk a little bit about what an informative speech is and things that I'm looking for when you do this speech. First of all, an informative speech, you're informing the audience about something. A how-to speech can be an informative speech, or you could talk about a person, a place, a thing, an event, or maybe an idea or concept that you're interested in. Whatever topic you choose, which choosing a topic is sometimes the hardest part, make sure that it's a college-worthy subject. I've had students try to give speeches on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I don't think that's college worthy. You also need to be able to research whatever topic you choose with good, credible outside research. You cannot be the sole source of information for this topic. So let's talk a little about what I'm looking for. First of all, does your informative presentation have an introduction? This speech builds more on the introduction and conclusion. In your last speech, you previewed your main ideas and restated those main ideas at the conclusion. In addition to that, you also need to get the audience's attention and establish your credibility. Just spend a sentence or two telling us about your experience with the topic or the research you've done on this particular topic. Do you have well thought out main ideas? Elaborate on them, spend about the same amount of time on each main idea, and make sure you have enough to cover 4 to 6 minutes worth of material. Orally cited sources. I have a separate video that talks about how to orally cite sources, but basically, according to Webster's Dictionary, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Ivanovich, in a New York Times article back in September, talked about XYZ. That's essentially how you're orally citing your sources. So they need to be 3 separate sources, and at 3 points in your speech, I need to hear you refer back to that. That also helps your ethos, by the way, because it shows the audience that you've done your research and you know what you're talking about, and you are not the sole expert on this. You're bringing in the outside experts who can elaborate more. Finally, your conclusion. Besides restating those main ideas, you also need to close out with flair and finality. Those two things often go hand in hand, but having a quote to wrap it up, or one more story that wraps up your speech, or just a little something, I like to think of it as putting the ribbon on the package. The package isn't quite tied up and done until you have that pretty bow on top, and that's what your flair and finality does. Paperwork. I know it may seem like a trivial thing, but I have had students make less than the grade they hoped they'd make in my class because they didn't bother turning in any of this stuff. And it does count for a significant portion of the speech. So make sure you've turned in your outline, your typed bibliography, also known as a reference page, and your audience analysis paragraph. Make sure your bibliography is in APA or MLA format, and there's a handout that shows you how to do that. And then the audience analysis paragraph. I have sample outlines, bibliographies, and audience analysis paragraphs all posted under the speech resources folder. But essentially what you're going to do, take that attitudes, beliefs, and values survey and take a look at it. And then ask yourself as you go through that demographic information and that psychographic information how you can apply that to your topic. So does anything about the audience's race or gender or religion or income affect how they might perceive your topic? And then put that together in just 1 or 2 paragraphs and explain to me how you've adapted your speech for your audience. Because remember, know your audience is a big portion of this class. The other thing I want to say about the paperwork is part of giving a good speech is being prepared. And having all of your ducks in a row and the paperwork in order shows me that you've come to class prepared and ready to give your speech and that you're on top of things. So good luck on your informative speech, and I look forward to hearing them.